Ah, marvelous. Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Cutter Degrassi live stream event. I know if you're a Degrassi fan, you know that I have done a lot of things going on. And today I was hoping for a live stream and to engage with my audience and all that. So basically, what I'm posting in the chat room, in the chat, is the playlist I've used for the Rick Murray storyline and how many videos I've done. Where I look at it, I actually have 97 videos. So 97 videos is the highlight and all that. So it's pretty impressive, don't you think? So I've done 97 Rick Murray storyline videos. That will hit 100 shortly. I'm sure of it because I have a Degrassi Unpopular Opinion to upload to that playlist tonight. Because I just did a C duel, number 197, and I did a few poll videos which are not related to Degrassi, the Rick Murray situation. So just to start, let's start with something. Now I know, of course, it's early in the stream, so I'm going to explain myself. So in early 2019, I had some opinions about the Rick Murray storyline that were not as prominent as they are now 4 years later. And the fact of the matter is that, I was always with the sound mind of thinking that everyone screwed up, like Eva really screwed up in the Rick situation, like Radich, Jay, the whole school ruined him, all that, even though that Rick was in trouble for putting Terry's head on a rock. Now, admittedly, I didn't even watch season 4 when it first came out in 2004. Yeah, and Degrassi, it's simple for Next Gen. Is the season 1 is 2001, started in 2001, season 2, 2002 onwards. And then, of course, once they hit the telenovela era, season 10, then, things got a little bit broken. So, season 4, I wasn't watching season 4 as much, like live, like first time run, because I was in school. And when I was in school, I was in college, I had to think about stuff. And it does show you my age. Because Degrassi Next Gen actually started out when I was 16, and I was in grade 11, to be honest with you. So, yeah. So, it was a grade 11 when Degrassi started. Grade 12, season 2. My gap year between high school and college was season 3. And then season 4 was when I started going to college and having to learn about college and all that to be a computer programmer, which failed miserably. So the fact of the matter is that I decided to, when I look at the Rick Murray thing, I did like a manifesto and all that. I wanted to post it, but I was worried about the online community. And then, in 2019, I decided to do I did these odd videos about the Rick situation. Now, some of the Rick Murray storyline ones in the playlist, which I put in the chat, and there will be a chat replay, of course, is that they are very crude and all that. From 2019, they were you could see a change in microphone, you could see graphics being changed and all that stuff. So, back before, that was a few months before I started getting my new setup. Like my brother put my computer within the vicinity of my TV, so my computer is technically plugged in with my TV in the same entertainment system. So that's why you see the widescreen here, because it used to be like a desk, and then I'd just be behind there, and then there would be stuff behind me. But yeah, it's different. It's a different setup in my basement. So the fact of the matter is that things have changed. My computer's changed. I haven't had to get a new one for years, which is great. And then I had to get a new webcam / microphone because it was the stuff wouldn't come through. So thankfully I did. So the fact of the matter is that things were good and all that. So then I did Degrassi videos year by year, and just did some stuff. And I always had these opinions that really felt unpopular and all that. So that's why I did the Degrassi Unpopular Opinions thing. So that started in 2021, I think, right? I think so. Yeah, I think it was 2021 when I started doing unpopular opinions. Like just making it like a Degrassi Unpopular Opinions. There were Degrassi videos I did like every month and all that, but for Degrassiisms. So I'm trying to look at my first one. Yeah, it's 3+ years ago, which means, yeah, I think it was 2020 when I started. I think it was May 2020 when I started, right? Hang on here. I just want to get the date. The date was May 19th, 2020. So it's been 3 years and close to a month since I started doing Degrassi Unpopular Opinions. And of course, this is during COVID when things were like sickening that people had to stay inside and all that. I had a job that I couldn't stay inside to work. I worked retail. Like I work retail, so I can't really be in the lockdown mode. If I had a job that was affected by the lockdown, yeah, in a major way, then yeah, I'd be inside all the time. But the fact of the matter is that, I started doing Unpopular Opinions. Not everything was Rick Murray's like. Some opinions were just on seasons like Sig and Maya's relationships, like Maya overreacting to Miles's problems in season 14. Was Emma and Sean supposed to be endgame and all that? Strange stuff. So I've done 197 Unpopular Opinions. Well, once the new one comes out today, it'll be 197. So yeah. So technically, I do 2 Unpopular Opinions for every one Rick Murray storyline. Well, it's not on purpose because I have 98 Rick Murray storyline ones and serial number 197. So I'm kind of 2 for 1. So I decided, like, I looked at Reddit and they talked to me about some stuff, and I redid some videos like throughout the years, and I kept some Unpopular Opinions on my playlist and all that. I was hoping for a like someone to talk about the live stream and give me questions on the live stream because I would love to answer some questions. I should have did it when I did my thing. I should have just said, well, what I should have done was just say, like, yeah, I did my stuff. Yeah, I'm just looking at my profile because of my posts. Live stream. Yeah, nobody gave me any comments on that. Degrassi live stream. I did post the link for 2 p.m. Eastern time. And, vulgar. And then I kind of changed it yesterday. Oh, Albert. Hello, Al, Red Sox fan. I didn't know you were a Degrassi fan. The problem, yeah, sorry, Al. Like, it's kind of weird that, I don't know if you really know much about Degrassi, Al. I know that it was co-produced in Boston in the Degrassi High, junior high days by, oh my gosh, WHDH or WHGH? I don't know. Can't remember. They were the same studio that did Arthur. So yeah. It's kind of weird. I'm trying to do a Degrassi live stream. But yeah, get to see you, Al. All as well. I don't like to steal your catchphrase, but like, it is what it is. But yeah, like I try my best to get to your streams, but the problem with your streams is that it's like 11 o'clock or midnight Eastern time, and I'm usually asleep because I go work or get up early to do my videos and all that. So yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, to talk about Degrassi and all that, I do stream like low. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad about the 60-second slow mode. Al, but because I was anticipating people watching my videos, like to make comments about it and maybe ask questions or basically just like whatever. I put slow mode on purpose so that, I get to look at the questions about season 4 and just do stuff about that. I know I have terrible lighting, especially coming from my basement window. So yeah, it's a little dark. Okay, so where was I? So yeah, my first video was May 2020 with COVID. And then all of a sudden, I decided to think of unpopular opinions. Now, since no one is here and is giving me a Degrassi question, I'm going to go through the playlist that's in the description. Now, it'll stay in the live chat, and then I'll put it in the description. But yeah, so I've done 97 videos, and this is a 3-year accumulation. So anyway, one of my first Degrassi unpopular opinions was the first one when it says students should be partially blamed about Rick's bullying. Basically, what I did in that one was I just said that, Rick being bullied. Like, yeah, Rick took a gun to the school and wanted to cause trouble, but the students overreacted to Emma's Orange Ribbon campaign. And that, they pushed him over the edge, and no wonder Rick went nuts, especially after they laughed when Rick got painted and feathered. So unpopular opinion number 3 was Emma wanting Sean. And this is one of my most popular ones because, like, I know that it's popular that people want Emma to be with Sean, but the fact is Emma wanted Sean in season 4. I should put the title better. After what happened in season 4 when Sean saved Emma from Rick's bullet and all that. So what happens is that, Emma wanted Sean, and, Sean saved Emma from Rick's gun, and she felt like she wanted to be with Sean, even though that they had an on again, off again relationship. Now, of course, this is, of course, me talking to the Degrassi fans and all that, like your Degrassi fans. I know some of you are not, they'll probably be watching that are not Degrassi fans and all that, but, it's just for the Degrassi fans' personality. So, yeah, so that Emma was upset when Sean went back to Wasaga Beach to deal with his PTSD. It was reasonable, but the fact is Emma wanted Sean, and I think that she really didn't feel closure until she finally got Sean back in season 6, which was strange and all that. Another C duel I did, number 6, was Spinner being the best redemption arc. Basically, it's one that I did about the fact that, the best redemption arc ever was Spinner's redemption arc. Because in season 4, when he was in trouble from the school for causing the paint and feathers to go on Rick, and of course him confessing to Jimmy about the fact that he and Jay pushed Jimmy to be shot by Rick, that, Spinner had the guilt, and Spinner couldn't alleviate his guilt because Jay pushed him to it. And then Spinner lost everything. He lost his friends. He lost the school because, they expelled him. And, he came back in season 5, and Hatzalakos basically said, one more false move and you are out of the school. And Spinner understood. And Spinner slowly but surely decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to get my friends back. I want to get my friends back. So that's what it is. Stream looks good. Oh, thank you, Al. Yeah, so of course with me and I'm just doing it via my webcam. I'm not doing it any other way. Like, I don't have that picture in picture because I'm looking at my Degrassi storyline playlist and just talking about it. Like, I don't have picture in picture. I could have picture in picture if I wanted to. But anyway, yeah, because then I see the chat. So anyway, I did not, well, unpopular opinion number 10 was why nobody stopped Rick despite the chances. And logically, it's like, well, Rick was coming back to the school with his paint and feathers on. Why did no staff or students try to block Rick from going to Degrassi and just calming him down saying that it's okay, Rick, just leave the school. Everything will be fine. You're going to get your justice. And it didn't work out. Unpopular opinion number 11 was Radish's gripe on Emma. And the fact that, I figured that Raj had something to do on Emma, because Emma really was pushing the Orange Ribbon campaign. And she in season 4 was like trying to prevent Rick from walking the hallways, but Raj basically tells her to shoot. And Emma's like, well, he doesn't belong to our school. This isn't one of your stupid crusades. Stay out of this. Like, I know, I get Raj's thing, but Raj calling her things stupid crusades, it had a backstory. It's like Raj didn't like Emma and all that, undermining him. Because in season 2, in Fight for Your Right, Emma kind of undermined Raj's stuff and even told the students about Raj's policies, and Raj had to do damage control for his own ego. Unpopular opinion 15 was the egos in the aftermath, was who had the bigger ego in the aftermath, like Jay or Raditch, because Jay pushed Spinner and Alex not to tell on him or themselves in the wake of the Rick Murray situation, saying that, we did the world a favor by Rick dying. But Rick died by accident and all that. And Spinner realizes that, the police are going to go after him. So he wanted to alleviate his guilt, but Jay pushed him not to, and Alex was pushed not to, I think. The one thing that ticks me off about the whole thing is the egos in the aftermath, is that with Jay, it's like, lack of empathy. And he gave Alex gonorrhea too, just like Emma and Amy. I would have thought Alex would have used this as a perfect time to say, screw you, Jay, I'm going to tell on you and all that about your role in the whole Rick situation. Of course, Alex would have had to implicate herself, which she should have done. And then Raj's ego in the aftermath, like, was it bad? Yeah, he canceled Dracula and wanted a musical portraying how good Degrassi is. But, I mean, Degrassi's on the 6 o'clock news in such a negative light that Raj is trying to play damage control. And it didn't work out so well. Of course, Raditch was basically blamed for allowing Rick back at the school in the first place. Unpopular opinion 18 was Alex's role in the Rick storyline. I just basically said that, I think we would have got more sympathy for Alex if she actually, Alex said that her mom gets hurt by her abusive boyfriends. And the fact of the matter is that, she pictures those people who wronged her mom as the epitome and puts Rick's face on the epitome of that. And so basically Rick decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this. But Alex had good reason to get mad at Rick for the situation. It wasn't just a Terry thing. It was just the fact that Alex was an abuser. Once an abuser, always, an abuser. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I did that one. All right. And then you got Zombie Emma. One of my early ones, number 19, was Zombie Emma in the writer's role, and blaming the writers for making Emma into a zombie and then ruining her character post season 4. This was one of the earliest example of me getting on the writer's case for ruining Emma's character, because pre-Rick, she was a little judgmental, pretentious, precocious feminist, or full feminist in a lot of people's mind, and I tend to agree, who was sticking her nose where it didn't belong. Like, she was sticking her nose into Manny's business and Spike's business and Snake's business when it wasn't completely necessary. I mean, sometimes it was necessary, but it wasn't a lot. And then they turned Emma into this girl who just didn't have her causes. She did a few causes post season 4, like to get Sean a public defender and to also do her Purple Dragon. But the fact of the matter is that, Emma was like more boy crazy and friend crazy. Unpopular opinion 23 was the deleted scenes in season 4. I touched upon this in a later seed duel, as I call it. But basically what happens is that, I talked about the deleted scenes that were not in the first run cut, as in Raj talking to Marco and Alex, who were the student council president and vice president as elected in the previous episode, saying that it's a bad idea to allow Rick back at the school, and Raj basically said Terry's at a private school and can't talk about her affairs. they try to get through to him, but he says that he doesn't have a criminal charge. And anyone who studies at my school who doesn't have a criminal record, he or she will have to study in my school, like it or not. Like, I get it. But he doesn't give a clear answer. And Marco and Alex basically think that he's just doing it for some kind of stuff. Alex thinks he's doing it for the GPA, which could be true. But logically, they didn't get their answers. And then the second deleted scene was about Spinner, Jimmy, and Craig walking in the hallway, and they bump into a paint and feather soaked Rick. Spinner calls him a chicken boy. Raj hears that and wants Spinner to come to him for a 3:30 talk and all that. And Spinner says he's busy, but then Raj shoots him off and then tells Rick to go home. Snake doesn't like it, and Raj says this is not daycare and make friends not part of the curriculum, meaning that he's missed the point. I would say preschool because it makes more sense. Duel 35 was Spinner should have kept his mouth shut, but then again, he shouldn't because, he had to talk. Duel 39 was should we be more sympathetic to Rick? That was huge. Like, that was 2+ years ago. And I practically said, we should not sympathize with Rick because he brought a gun to the school for revenge. If he did what Cole Tanner did in Degrassi High and took a gun to kill himself, that's different. Maybe you feel more sympathetic. I don't feel sympathetic towards Rick because he brought the gun to school for revenge, and logically he died by his own gun. So, I can't sympathize. Actually, Al, you're partially right. It did start in 1979 as Kids of Degrassi Street, and then they showed like a few episodes a year. And then by 1986, 87, they started Degrassi Junior High. And it ran, Degrassi Junior High /High ran for 5 seasons. 3 junior high and 2 high. And then after 91, it was in a hiatus until the famous Schools Out movie in 1992. And in 1992, they did the Schools Out movie, which was huge. And then Degrassi took a hiatus till 2001, running on CTV because CBC used to have it. And then they lost the rights to CTV for some strange reason. And then in 2001, Degrassi Next Gen happened. CTV ended after, 8 years? And then the sister station, Much Music, and MTV Canada provided it. The Degrassi series has been dormant for 5 years, I think, 5 or 6, I'd like to say. But the simple fact is that, it's not actively running on TV, as in no new episodes. There was supposed to be a reboot this summer, but they canceled it. HBO Max canceled it. Thank you for the information. Well, it's okay. A lot of people don't know about the information. But Al, you're actually not correct either. The U.S. had it. The PBS stations in the U.S. had Degrassi Junior High and High and all that. And Nickelodeon /Teen Nick /The End, they had Degrassi episodes on. And in Canada, Family Channel had the Degrassi Next Class. What was the American? Netflix. Netflix was the reason why Next Class happened. Netflix had that in America. So anyway, Duel 46 was Paige being a main reason for Rick's temper. So, I say in this one, and I know I doubled down on it later on in a few years later, but Paige being a main reason for Rick's temper. Basically what I said was that, for how Rick was angry and all that, Paige did kind of tick him off by suggesting all these things and, pushing Terry in such a way that Rick didn't like it. Rick always thought that Terry was struggling under Paige's shadow, and I can understand that. And, Paige did anger him. I mean, come on, Rick went towards Paige with the gun first, but, he slowly raised the gun. But Paige did not see the gun, nor did anyone else see the gun. So before she calmed them down, and Rick realizes he was wrong and finally apologizes for what he did to Terry, I think for the first time. Spinner's forgiveness. I think number 47 is that I talk about, should we forgive Spinner? Like, what level of forgiveness should we give Spinner? Well, not much. Number 52 was Radic's hate should be lower. I talked about the fact that everyone had hated on Radic, and I said that not everything was his fault. Yes, he did allow Rick back in the school, which was stupid. Yes, he did ignore Rick in Time Stand Still Part 1. But the fact of the matter is Rick was not straightforward, and Radic is a concrete thinker. Took Rick at his word, and that didn't work out so well. And then I basically said that, the students caused a lot of troubles. Jay, Spinner, and Alex caused a lot of trouble. Many people caused trouble that were not, Radic and all that. Yeah, Radic's hate should be high, should be lower. Like, I didn't say it should be like gone. I'm just saying that Radic's level should be lower. All that. I mean, if you were asking me who should get more blame for the Degrassi situation, who should get less blame, and who gets a lot, and who gets the same level of blame for higher, I think Alex probably, in my mind, should get a little more blame, and the students too, because I think the students played a big role into Rick's psyche. I mean, yeah, of course they're upset that Rick was coming back to school. Who wouldn't be upset? Lower would be Radic by a smidge, but I'm not saying totally gone. I'm just saying lower, like at least a notch lower, and lots of people the same amount of hate, even Emma. 55 was Emma was not the straw that broke Rick. A lot of people said that, when Emma spurned Rick's kiss while he was painted and feathered and says, I pity you, you get a clue. That wasn't what broke Rick. Rick was in a state of mind that, he was going to bring the gun to the school. And remember, he went after Paige first. He could have gone after Emma easily. And then C-Duel 59 was Emma's involvement in the Rick bullying. Like what I thought about Emma being involved in that. And then someone did a thing a couple years ago that said C-Duel 65. When I did 65, Degrassi Extra is a culprit. And they said that, the Degrassi Extra may have tipped off or may have been part of the Paint and Feathers because the girl looks up and all that and not paying attention to everything when the Paint and Feathers happened. Potentially she saw the Paint and Feathers, but also the extra probably was exasperated. I talked about Paige's underrated efforts in Time Stand Still as an unpopular opinion. Well, a hot take more like too. But her efforts were underrated and all that. So yeah. And then 74 was Emma's need for a boyfriend was more than we thought post season 4. Now, of course, this is the first of many diatribes towards my main sentence of Emma being more boy crazy and more friend crazy was because of Rick. I kind of contradicted myself a couple times, but number 74 was the first one. And the first time that happened was, let's just take a look here. Now, since no one's giving me any questions on season 4, I figure I might as well just wing it a bit. All right, so my apologies. You're going to probably hear some background noise. There we go. All right, so the first time I talked about that was June 8th, 2021. So it was just over 2 years ago, 2 years and 9 days ago, when I started my diatribe for Emma's need for a boyfriend and all that. So yeah, I talk at length at this and many more unpopular opinions that, Emma didn't have a boy to protect her in season 4 from Rick's thing because she kind of screwed herself over by being petty over Liberty dating her ex Chris and all that, and that led to trouble. And then Emma was clinging on to Peter, Sean, and Damien just to find, and Kelly, just to be around and maybe try to have that guy push a Rick Murray type to the curb and all that. Say Duel 76 was Snake could have been principal in season 4. I talked about the fact that Snake probably would have been principal after Radic was released, but I think that because Snake figured he screwed up, he didn't want to. Number 81 was Emma not telling people about Rick's issues in season 4. This was a big one because for me, it's like, Emma knew about Rick's issues head on in Time Stands Still. And it's like, did she tell anyone about the problem? But of course, I relayed the message that a few years prior, when I did this on Reddit, one person said that she was just going about her normal day, and probably after school she would get to Simpson because Simpson's her stepdad/teacher, and all that. And I just wish that Emma had told people about Rick's issues even before Time Stands Still. But what can you do? 85 was Emma's hidden agenda in season 4 Orange Ribbon campaign. I talked about, did Emma have a hidden agenda? The Orange Ribbon was to help domestic violence, but was Emma doing it to gain friends or to stick it to Raditch or basically all that? And I said that there's got to be a combination. And then 86 was Emma's cleaning face was due to Rick. And I talked about her cleaning face to friends and boyfriend. Not for the last time, of course. Number 88 was blaming Spinner for Rick's demise. Why should the students have blamed Spinner for Rick's demise and all that? Because he set up Rick to be hurt. 89 was Jimmy not adjusting to Rick's bullet. I talked about that because, Jimmy, didn't see the bullet coming, obviously. And, if Jimmy had known Rick had a gun, he should have seen it better. All right. And scapegoating, 98 was scapegoating Spinner. So basically I doubled on that. And then number 100 was doubling down on my first unpopular opinion about the students should be held more accountable for Rick Murray's situation. And then 101 was why Rick didn't face charges season 3. I just basically go over why Rick potentially did not go to prison for what he did or didn't face charges. And I believe I said logically that, that lack of charges was the downfall. Like Paige and Spinner didn't press charges. I don't know why they didn't. Not even Terry's dad pressed charges or something. Like pressing charges doesn't mean that Rick would have been convicted. It just would have meant that Rick would have been investigated and all that. And I think being investigated was the best first step. Was a good first step. And then all of a sudden, you got yourself a lot of things. And, the school board couldn't really do too much to influence things. Like, like at a trial, maybe Terry would have been in deep trouble. Number 102 was Emma's Aftermath was the best post-Rick storyline in season 4. Oh, great. Oh, brother. I'm just going to mute for now. Sorry, someone's calling me. My apologies. My good friend Bill Lang was phoning me um, just to talk to me because, oh, great. Hold on. The power of live commentary, the power of doing it live. Unfortunately, I still have more to say. So, yeah, that's why. Okay. Hopefully, I'm back this time. All right. Yeah, yeah, it's just for the top chat things. All right. So, yeah, Rick, and I said in 102, Emma's Aftermath was the best post Rick storyline because, I mean, there were a lot of great storylines in aftermaths, like Jimmy, being in the wheelchair and having to look face life in a wheelchair, Spitter's guilt, and all that. Jay didn't really have an aftermath. Alex and her failed aftermath because she freaking decided to keep quiet. Hazel having an aftermath because having to deal with her boyfriend in a wheelchair and emotionally cheating on her with Ellie. Radich being canned and the circumstances and all that. Sean having his PTSD issues. Toby not having his PTSD issues talked about. I said Emma's aftermath was huge because it really broke Emma's character and made her vulnerable, and realizing that she had the issues of talking to people about her issues. I don't think she really talked about how she felt in the Rick situation, having the gun pointed at her. She probably went to therapy, but we'll never know. 105 was the school board's impact in season 4, as in, what did they have to do with the situation? Did they tell Raj he had no choice but to let Rick back in the school? Did they reassign Raj instead of fire him because, maybe they had some kind of guilt if they fired him? And then 106 was comparing 2004 to 2021 in context. This is like one of my biggest things is the fact that, we talk about the Rick Murray situation in such a way. And then all of a sudden, 2021 in context. In 2021. But remember, 2004, things were a whole lot different. School security was not that big. Cameras were not really in the hallways. It was more laissez-faire and all that. Now we're talking the hugeness. And then, of course, this whole Rick Murray thing happened before social media was a big thing, like before Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that kind of shit. The simple fact is that, like we're saying all these bad things about like Raj in 2021, where it's 2004, it was more acceptable, and it was the old boys network. I spent number 114 on Emma's pettiness in season 4 about being with Chris, and the pettiness in season 4, that episode, can't remember. I would say Iris is against I, but that can't be right. But the third episode, well, the episode after Paige's rape and before Mercy Street. Can't remember. But anyway, yeah. It's like Emma was upset that Chris was going to go after Liberty. And Manny was about to help Emma, trying to maybe to get Chris back. But Emma says, I don't want Chris back. I just don't want Liberty to be near him. And Manny's like shocked and says that, that's the weirdest statement that you've ever made. Of course, in a later scene duel, I talk about that in context and saying, like, since when does Emma care about what people think of her? And then number 115 was a really unpopular opinion, is Rick Murray's timeline leading into Joey and Caitlin's breakup. I can't remember how I explained it. So that's hard to press. So anyway. So yeah, things connect for a reason. And someone did like the timeline explanation, factors, comments, Degrassi. Yeah. When I did that, is that, Joey and Caitlin were involved because in the subplot of Time Stands Still, Joey has to sell his house, and then Cindy, a real estate broker, and Joey's ex, is helped by Craig to try to fix the problem, but Joey was not unappreciative. And Craig, despite being really sick, went to school to ignore Joey. But then Caitlin, coming back from Africa, finds a for sale sign with Cindy's name and decides to buy Joey's house to keep things safe. And, they talk about the problems and all that. I don't know completely how to explain it. I just don't. Yeah, no one's watching me right now, but that's okay. Like, you can watch it back. It's no big deal. Emma's Glow Up Season 5, I think I talked about what the writers were thinking in that thing. Number 123 was Rick's parents should have been mentioned post Time Stands Still. This is the one thing that gets me more unnerved about the Rick situation, is the simple fact that, Rick's parents, like in Back in Black, in the subplot, Rick's mom's upset, or maybe blissfully upset about, Rick, her son's dead, and, doesn't really feel the vibe around her. Like, Toby has to go to the visitation because Toby was Rick's only true friend and has to face Rick's mom and all that. And, it should have been mentioned about Rick's parents, the parents of a school shooter. What are their thoughts? What kind of things could you say about them and all that? They should have delved into that. The fact of the matter is that, Rick's parents should have been mentioned in passing or a scene or something. Because, I think Rick's dad would have been definitely in trouble for the firearms and how easily his son got to them. Number 129 was doubling down on Emma's clingy phase. So this was me really doubling down on the clingy phase. 130 was a big one for me. It was Rick Murray and Deaf was a good thing for Degrassi, the school and characters. This was really an unpopular opinion because of the fact that, why would you say Rick Murray and Deaf was a good thing? Well, the simple fact is that if Rick was on trial and was alive and things would have got out, Spinner would definitely have been outed, him and Jay, by Rick for talking about Jimmy and all that. And then, of course, it would have came out that Spinner and Jay just wanted to get Jimmy and Rick to stop being friends. And then the shit would have flown. They would have been both in juvie. Alex probably would have gotten into massive trouble. Emma, I think, would have gotten in trouble. Paige and the Clique would have got into trouble. I mean, yeah, Rick would have probably been sentenced to jail for what he did to Jimmy and all that. Or just got lucky with the lawyer and all that, trying to pin everything on Degrassi and all that. Raj probably would have gotten a lot of trouble. But yeah, the characters didn't have to face so much repercussions with the Rick situation, except for the zero tolerance policy that kind of fell flat. I did number 136 was Spinner and Jay's modus operandi to do with Jimmy season 4. This was the huge one. This was the huge one because of me basically saying that Spinner and Jay's MO was to hurt Jimmy because not just to ruin Jimmy and Rick's potential friendship, but to get Jimmy back on their side. Because remember, Jimmy was part of the group with Spinner, Jay, and Alex to hurt Rick. And besides, Jimmy helped Spinner dump Rick into the dumpster. And then all of a sudden, uh, Jay Jay basically said that, Jimmy set everything up so that Loser Boy would be all around in the final and all that. And Spinner played along with Jay. I think he was scared to go against Jay. It only proves that Spinner and Jay were a bigger friendship than Spinner and Jimmy, which was pathetic. 138, I went back to the Raditch well and said Raditch's World in season 4, plus a Rachel Violetta appreciation. When was this? This was, I just want to get the date down. The date was May 31st, 2022. So just over, I would say 13 months ago, but just under 13 months ago and all that. She did this. Rachel Violetta, who's one of my key Degrassi Redditors and all that, basically said that stuff about everything. So yeah, so Rachel said some stuff. You know what? I'm gonna play you back the stuff Rachel said about Raditch, if I can find it now. Bear with me, of course, because yeah, so bear with me. Sorry, I'm just trying to pinpoint the right one. Okay, here we go. Ah, nuts. Sorry about that. Yeah, that is like, what the heck? Wow. That was one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen. And no, Rachel and I don't have like the same wavelength. Like, we don't collaborate. I'm like, wow, that's so. Oh, hang on 1 minute. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, so that's the link to the video, uh, like in the live chat of what Rachel said. It was like, holy crap. All right, so CDO 140 was Emma's gonorrhea a punishment? And I basically said, well, do you think Emma's gonorrhea was made because of her sticking her nose in the Rick Murray situation? And I said, ew, no, no. Painted Feathers Conundrum. I can't remember what that was about. I can't remember. I'll have to look at the what you call it? The description. Yeah, I always wonder. Oh yeah, the certain tiebreaker. What if the tiebreaker didn't actually happen? What Rick would have been like? Because that's a kind of a weird plot point. Is what if they didn't have a tiebreaker or something like that? How would the Pain and Feathers have worked? It would not have worked. But then again, Spinner and Jake cooked up the Pain and Feathers during the tiebreaker. So I think in a sense they would have had to figure out some way to Pain and Feather Rick. All that. And then C-Dove 150 was clearing up Emma's clean face. And when was 150? Because I'm headed close to 200. It was 11 months ago. So I think it was July? Yeah, July 9th, 2022. All right, so July 9th was when I hit number 150. Clearing up Emma's clean face and basically saying, a lot of things. 155 was Paige may have had Emma shunned after Mercy Street. That was the one I can't believe I never did. But I feel in my heart of hearts, it's unpopular, that I feel that Paige may have had a hand in why Emma only had the Quiz Bowl team to hang around with when time stands still as much. Emma had pissed off Manny and Liberty about the pettiness towards Chris and then get into the shunner, so that she tried to go into Paige's clique. And then after Mercy Street, when she protects Rick from the savage being from Alex, they just basically get rid of her. And Emma is only trusted to talk to Rick, Toby, and Heather Sinclair, soon to be replaced by Jimmy. But the fact is, I feel that Paige, using her Queen Bee status, may have gone to school to key on Emma, although they could just say about Emma being hypocritical and saved Rick from beating, even though that she was doing something to help with domestic violence. And, Emma kind of figured that they were going about it the wrong way, and that's why Emma got pissed off. Of course, 156, I redid the Rick Second Chance should have happened. And I said, yeah, but at another school. I know it's popular, but I mean, Rick deserved a second chance, but he didn't deserve to stay at Degrassi. 165 is Emma and Toby's missed PTSD storylines from season 4. I just talked about what the heck were they thinking that not going into Toby and Emma's PTSD. They kind of did, but it wasn't solved. It was not resolved. Like, we still had the issues. And what would happen later? Like, I think that Emma's season 6 meltdown in If You Leave was kind of a result of the PTSD because JT got stabs from her house at a party that she should never have thrown in the first place. No wonder she felt guilty. She had a right to feel guilty about it. And I think Snake kind of figured that Emma felt guilty. And I just wish that Toby would not be shat upon. Like, Toby was trying to make sense of the situation that his supposed friend Rick would do such a thing like this. And Danny and JT basically shun him for that. But Manny chews those two out, saying that, Toby was fiercely loyal and all that. So, yeah, it was like, Toby was put on the back burner again. Radich's statement in a deleted scene, I think this was the one in which, he said that, I can't do anything, my hands are tied. I talk about that. Rick being tricked twice was number 169. That was when I put that I was upset that Rick was easily manipulated twice by Jay and Spinner. First of all, when the tiebreaker happens, that once Jimmy leaves the bathroom and Rick's by himself, Jay and Spinner talk to Rick and says, you should do the tiebreak. Everything is cool. Of course, Rick feels good about himself, leaves the bathroom, and then the boys basically decide to cook up the paint and feathers. And Spinner does have his reservations, but Jay says that Alex knows her role and basically does her role. And then also with Rick being tricked the second time, being in the stall and all that. Like, I'm surprised that Rick didn't come out of the stall and talk to Jay and Spinner. Because maybe then, Jay and Spinner would have had to cook up something and, all that. But remember, Rick didn't have the gun with him in the bathroom. It was in his locker. And then after Jay and Spinner successfully tricked him into thinking that he went back to the locker. And then Hatzelackles would have gotten Spinner. Spinner would have stooped. Hatzelackles knew about the gossip and all of that. And, well, when I did the seed duel, when I did the storyline, that was what was left. And when I created the playlist, but I've added more seed duels. Emma and her internalizing issues was the character flaw we needed to know about, because the internalization stuff kind of, you know what? I'm going to take that out. I'm going to remove that from that. There was another seed duel, Rick and Claude's storyline similarity. I talked about in 176, I talked about Rick and Claude's storylines. So, yeah. So that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, so Rick and Claude's storyline. I'm going to post the link in the chat about that one. So, yeah. So, what is it? We've hit the 1 hour mark. Rachel having another cake. But yeah, so it's in the chat and all that. All the information's in the chat about that one. Okay, so we got that one. Another seed duel was 179. Raj having the right idea of PR for the school, but wrong execution. Like, I don't completely like Raj on that, but I can understand why he did it, but he did it incorrectly. Radish's hate in season 4. I went to the well for the 3rd time, or was it the 4th time? I can't remember. With that, I did see duel 188. Raj could have helped the students with a talk about Rick in season 4. This was my biggest thing, because a couple of months ago when I said it, was because of the fact that, in one of Unusually Eric's videos about the Rick storyline, someone posted a line saying that, why didn't Raj have assembly/video talk with the students, video message for the students about the Rick situation, because it might have been better for him in his own right. But no, it didn't work that way. And I said, yeah, Raj could have had a good idea and talked to the students about Rick in season 4. Seed duel 193 was Emma's plan to break up Chris and Liberty was the catalyst in her season 4 downfall, because it led to her trying to go into Paige's clique to try to get popular, because she lost Manny and Liberty as friends. She basically was deemed a hypocrite for saving Rick from a beating from Alex. And she was all by herself with the Quiz Bowl team of Rick, Toby, and Heather, soon to be replaced by Jimmy. And the simple fact that, Emma had things done to her. Like, Rick held her hand and creepily whispered, "This is for you." So that's what happened. And, she gets the gun pointed at her by Rick. Sean saves the day. Emma feels something for Sean, but Sean goes back to Wasaga Beach and Emma is upset. And then she becomes melancholy. Although in a few episodes you wouldn't know it. But yeah, she's been keeping it. And she's in secret and easily traced by Jay. into the whole gonorrhea thing. And Emma basically realizing that the school hates her on it and telling Jay, you gave me a social disease. So that's what happened. Yeah. And then a couple more recency duels, 195 and 196 was the teacher's fault in Rick's storyline was system based. The teachers why didn't fix the situation in the first place. It was because the system was flawed that, the teachers kind of had to keep quiet because Raj was the head cheese. And 196 was Raj should have talked to Spinner, should have had that talk to Spinner. Now, of course, I forgave that fact because, Rad, it was a deleted scene. But I also, and I am sorry, why did I take out that thing? But it wasn't just all C duels like Degrassi and Popular Opinions. I did Degrassiisms on some topics too. Like not unpopular opinions, but just basically polls and just talks about it. I did a Degrassi shooting timeline thing. That was 3 years ago. This was what, 2020? No, it was late 2019, October 2019 for the 15th anniversary of the actual Time Stand Still being around. So yeah, it was the 15th anniversary thing. The shooting timeline, and I did a Rick Murray case study on the same thing. Well, the shooting timeline is like, I gave 40 minutes about the whole events that happened. 5 things that Rick didn't do, and should have done. That was a primitive video I did years ago. I did the Degrassi poll video about Raj's biggest blunder in season 4. Like, what was his biggest blunder? I did a 26-minute video on, so you want to talk about Raditch Reddit community because they were all over Raditch, and I basically wanted to talk about it. Degrassi shooting aftermath of Degrassiism, how the principals handled it. And then a video I did in the playlist that you'll see the playlist. I talked about 11 things Raj goofed on in season 4, and I named all 11. I didn't rank them, but I named them all. And then I did 5 things should or should not have done. But remember, this is 2019 when I did them. Things have been different and all that. I'm probably gonna like, you know what? I'm going to revise them and do a revisement of that video and do a 2023 version, what they should or should not have done. So yeah, I'll be working on that in the summer. I did a poll video, top 10 stories within the Rick Murray storyline. I was in top 10 character-driven storylines, not including Rick. May 2019, I did a video called 20 Things I Learned About the Degrassi Shooting Timeline in my couple of years of being part of Reddit. One video is Deb and Selvey and the similarities to Rick, because in Canada, in Ontario, where I'm from, it was that there was a similar situation. This kid named Devin Selvey was bullied and all that over a bike, protecting a bike. And then these bullies would just put Devin in a bad situation. And, Devin wouldn't want to go to school and all that. And the mother was upset that the school didn't do too much to help Devin out. And then Devin died. He was stabbed. There was a video about similarities between Chloe and Rick's story, but I made that into an unpopular opinion. A poll video about the top 10 villains in the Rick storyline not named Rick, and you said Jay was number 1, but then you gave Raditch as number 2, meaning that Raditch is number 3 as villains. I mean, for how bad Raditch is, I think that Spinner was a bigger villain than Raditch because Spinner bullied Rick. Raditch didn't really bully him. And then I did a poll video about the best unpopular opinion for the Rick Murray storyline that I said was the best unpopular opinion. And then the honest thoughts about Rick Murray 2022 version, I went an hour and 15 minutes talking about my honest thoughts about the Rick Murray storyline, the Degrassiism about why Emma did the orange ribbon poll, and then I did a 5-part serial about reshaping Rick Murray's storyline. And basically about him going to trial. Like, I put him on trial. I had Sean dead and Jimmy hurt. Like, I had Jimmy also in a wheelchair. Yeah, I had Jimmy in a wheelchair. But I had Sean die. And then, I did Rick Murray takes. There were 4 parts. I did what I thought about Not a Vampire and what they said about Rick Murray. And usually Eric and what he thinks about the Rick Murray situation. The Degrassi the Social Deceased Degrassi podcast and what they said and my thoughts, and of course what I've thought about things. And I even did a top 10, and I did a tier list on villainy, tier list of villainy. And then I did, a couple of years ago, I did the Degrassi villainy in season 4. I talked about the people who shouldn't be blamed for everything. And then I did Paige, why she was a villain, the students, Emma, Alex, Radich, Jay, Spinner, and of course the finale about Rick himself. And then I did a top 12 character aftermath of Rick Moore's storyline, who had the biggest character aftermath by the writing committee. Time Stand Still retrospective, when I talked about Time Stand Still, the episode that went there. Talked about the top Spinner crime from season 4, like what was Spinner's biggest problem. And then I did the sequels, Degrassi character's biggest mistakes in season 4. Degrassiism on how likely the Rick situation affected Emma. And that was all about it. So I've done all my talking about this thing. So I'm going to try to make it an even hour, 15 minutes to make it more friendly. So I'll give you some content, give you some thoughts on the situation at hand and some characters. So, is Rick the biggest villain in the Degrassi in that storyline? Of course he is. I mean, freak, he brought a gun to the school for revenge. No matter how he did it, he did it. He shot somebody, no matter what his original plan was. He was stupid. He was drawn into it. Everyone says, oh, he was bullied into it. I don't think so. Rick could have easily have not listened to the hate that these people have. I mean, Rick never retaliated until Time Stand Still Part 1 when he circled and X'd his tormentor's cars and all that. But that just made Spinner, Jay, and Alex all the more angrier and want Rick out of the school. They couldn't go to Radich with this evidence because it would have meant that they would have implicated themselves. But the fact is, it happened. It freaking happened. But lo and behold, I mean, when you look at things from a certain angle, is that, yes, Rick should have some sympathy. If he never retaliated, there is no doubt within my mind, about 90% chance that Rick would definitely have been sympathized. And the simple fact is that Rick would have been safe. Rick probably would have had the sympathy towards him, but because he decided to use a gun to try to get his retaliation, I can't sympathize with them. I don't sympathize with school shooters. I don't sympathize with those people. Sure, they got bullied, but there's other ways to go around it. And you don't bring a gun to the school for revenge. You just can't. It's just wrong. But I mean, for villainy, it's like, Jay would definitely be the number 2 villain for me. I mean, Jay was a gigantic piece of shit, if I can say that, and I can. I mean, I don't hate Mike Lobo. He's a good actor. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's what I do. Don't hate the actor, hate the game, like what he acted in. But the fact is that Jay had little empathy at all, and he kind of bullied Spinner and Alex not to say anything about the whole Jimmy situation because he kind of figured they were weak and they wanted to talk to him. And then thinking, well, Alex never wanted to talk about it. Yes, she did. In Back in Black, when she and Jay walked to the school, Alex says, I have to get stuff on my chest. And then Jay says, well, I don't care what you say. Just be careful who you say it to. And, Alex should have easily have gone to Hatzalakos and told on herself and Jay, for that matter. If Jay gave her gonorrhea, it should have been Alex's catalyst for, fuck you, I'm going to get revenge on you, Jay. And then that's it. Well, then you got Spinner. Does he have the 3rd biggest hate? The 4th biggest hate? Well, you got Rick. Then you got Jay. Then you got Spinner. No. As much as Spinner gets harassed because of him, holding in the whole Rick situation for 3 months before telling Jimmy the truth, is that, at least Spinner had the backbone to confess everything. Well, he did lose his friends, so he logically had nothing to lose. So he basically told on himself and Jay for revenge. But the fact of the matter is that Radich deserves more hate than Spinner. He deserves less hate, but the fact is, Raj blew the situation. As the adult, he had the buck stops here mentality should have been at him. He should have stopped everything and just basically agreed with the students that this should not have happened. I would have put it towards Radish that he should have just fixed the problem. Or, yeah, he should have explained why Rick was back at the school. Simple as that. People won't believe him, but at least he tried. And then you can't say, oh, he never tried, because he would have had everyone through. I think that Rick and all of them deserved what he got. But yeah, Raj, I think, deserved to be kicked out of the school. I think it was just a matter of time. And of course, Dan Woods in real life was in another province, and then flying from that province to Ontario and back because he only has a few lines, it just doesn't make sense. The logistics just killed Dan Radich's character. And then you got Alex, who I definitely, I should say, yeah, with Spinner and Radich, it's closely a tie for third. But Spinner did play along and basically probably wanted Jimmy to get hurt. I don't think Raj would have won it. Then you got Alex, and then number 6 would be the students. I think the students definitely would be number 6 because they pushed Rick into this, and they took Emma's Orange Ribbon campaign wrong. Yeah, Emma should be blamed for the Orange Ribbon campaign, but she only did it because of domestic violence. And yes, Emma, I think, in my mind, is number 7 to me. The staff is number 8, but Emma kind of did start it with the Orange Ribbon campaign, although it was in good faith, and she was trying to be the cause girl and all that. I can't fault her for that. It just, the students took it incorrectly. Then you got the staff members because they didn't really speak up. Jimmy probably I'd go with number 9 because he did dump Rick in the dumpster. Although, actually, saying that, Rick's parents should be up there. I think Rick's parents should be number 7 behind. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to do a top 10 thing in October about the top 10 people you should blame for the Rick situation. But anyway, this stream has gone on for an hour and 15 minutes. So thanks for watching, and thanks for rewatching it when you can. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.